You know, there's an issue, and you and I have spoken about this before, but just because you spend X amount of years abroad, right, doesn't necessarily mean that you have studied every single day in those years.
Mm,
And it's not about how long you've studied, but more about what it is that you've studied and
mm,
how proficient you are in the things you've studied.
mhm.
And I think for a lot of people, um, they may get swept away by so and so who studied in such a place for X amount of years, and in the husn al of that individual, they believe that those X amount of years somehow entail X amount of years of full-time study. And for some people, um, that's not the case, sadly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It causes a lot of problems, and I'm sure I think it's something you and I have spoken about. And it continues to be an issue whereby people come and people automatically assume that they are perhaps more than what they really are, and it causes problems, particularly when people are overconfident in the little that they know, and it causes issues. And those who are confident in what they know, generally, they are not going to be going around telling people what it is that they know. You see, whereas the others kind of that's not the case. And there are people who are just like tourists. They stayed in such and such a place and just went to visit from sheikh to sheikh, and they've got beautiful stories. They can tell you about this sheikh and that sheikh and these beautiful things, but you never saw them in classes. They never studied, more than one or two books. But yeah, mashallah, and kind of very superficial exposure to studying, if at all. And I think that for me, that was quite surprising seeing that. I think that obviously you are not an example of that. You studied, mashallah, it's quite obvious. And generally, the people who do study and really get down to their studies abroad, when they come back, my experience shows that they tend to do a lot more. Why? Because they have a lot more to give. There's only
Mm,
so many talks that you can give. There's only so many times you can tell the same story of this sheikh and that sheikh. After that, people are like, well, listen, I've got this issue. You're getting phone calls. We have to stop your car and put it to the side. And you're getting all these challenges. And if simply now, what you have isn't sufficient now to be able to deal with the challenges that people face, and people are now waiting for you because you've studied in such a place for so many years. They kind of expect, and rightly so, that you are able to help them and answer their questions within
yeah,
these.
I mean, the example is let's take an example everyone can understand, right? You get universities, right? Lots of people get degrees, but that doesn't mean everybody studied. So we know many people who spent the university years sleeping, playing pool, and getting very good at pool, actually. And then getting notes off other people, doing all-nighters and passing their exams. And at the end of the day, they get a degree. That does not mean that for 4 years they were studying all that time. Then you get other students who are always in the library, are very well read, and maybe they get slightly better marks than the other student, but not by a huge amount because the other students use their notes to study with, right? So I'm giving an example that people maybe can relate to, that it's not always what it seems. It's not always what it seems. And you're right that, I mean, there is an element of what's called mubalagha, like exaggeration. And we know we've had these discussions where people do exaggerate. I mean, for example, let's just say someone like Sheikh Ramadan Bhuti, very big scholar, right? I mean, in Syria, I used to attend his Jummah khutbah. He used to do a lesson after Asr. He'd have a couple of public lessons. So I could now say I'm a direct student of Sheikh Bhuti. And I'm not lying because I directly took from him. But I wouldn't personally put him down as one of my teachers, because for me, a teacher is somebody who I studied a book with, I set a certain, a significant amount of time with. So if I wanted to like kind of make a big list of scholars, I could probably make a very long list. But the thing is, I know that'd be disingenuous. I'm just doing it to give an impression, which I know and God knows
Yeah.
is not really genuine. So if people want to do that, that's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I think you're right, the proof's in the pudding. And over a period of time, people start to see the people that have got that have actually like studied properly. And you're right, not everyone was studying all the time when we were there. I know when in Syria, many students, because of they had to start teaching English to earn an income. So then they started to study more kind of part-time. So that means maybe they were in Syria for 10 years and another person was there for 5 years, but they actually studied the same amount because that person was doing it more part-time. And just like you said, some people they were going from one majlis to another majlis to another majlis, spending their time doing that. And other people were studying book after book after book. So that 5 years between them is not the same what they come out with at the end of it. So I mean, for example, one of the descriptions of the person that is with me, Sheikh Ridwan, it's not just me, it's many other people have said, I've noted that every time they saw him, he always had a book in his hands, and that's a description that's been given about. And I've seen him physically just devouring books. So his 6 years at Ma'ad al-Fath cannot be compared to another person's 6 years. So I would say the same thing. Just like university, you get different types of students at different levels, and people, they're not all the same. Just because everyone's got a degree doesn't mean that they've all been studying full pelt for 4 years. It's the same thing with scholars, and that's the thing. Like, you get good doctors, you get bad doctors, you get sleazy doctors. You get every type of doctor under the sun, isn't it? You get the noble doctor. The scholar's the same. You get good scholars, you get humble scholars, you get arrogant ones as well. You get sleazy ones as well, and we've seen some of them being called out. So just because the person studied with XYZ does not mean that they're the biggest wali in the world. They're human beings. They're not prophets, so they're not like ma'sumin, right? They don't have isma, they don't have, what's the word?
Infallible.
Infallibility. Yeah, they're not infallible, right? They're human beings. They make mistakes. They might make a mistake. So not putting people on a pedestal which is not justified. So yeah, we take the good, and if anyone it strays and falls, then we call it out. We say that's not the Sharia, that's not the way, or that's not what the Shuyukh teach. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We all make mistakes. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that can say they've not made a mistake or got things wrong or misunderstood things.